firstly tell us what your experience in politics has been up until this point?
I've started to get involved in politics during the referendum campaign because as a French person in the UK, I've been living in London for 20 years and I thought that it was important to get involved. So I started to campaign with the Remain side, and after the referendum, I decided to become a member of the Liberal Democrats because it's the only party that was very much pro-European, and I really share their values. And I thought that the Liberal Democrats were the party closer to my heart and to what I believe in. So I became a member of the Liberal Democrats in 2016. But at the beginning, I didn't really get involved. It's only in 2017 that I received an email saying, oh, we're looking for candidates for the local elections. And I thought, okay, maybe I could be a candidate in the local elections. And then I went through the process of being selected, doing interviews, and I became a candidate. And I stood, at the time, I was living in Battersea. So I stood in the local elections in the Queenstown ward. It was a great experience. And this is when I really got to learn what campaigning was all about. You know, producing leaflets, leafleting, canvassing, knocking on doors, doing street stalls, doing social media, videos, etc. And also organizing events, fundraising, all sorts of events. So, and I really enjoyed it, and I met great people. It was a nice experience. We all had a wonderful time. So that's the first time I stood as a candidate in the local election 2018. And then I decided to become a PPE, which is a parliamentary prospective, PPC, prospective parliamentary candidate, PPC. And to become a PPC, you have to take an assessment. So I worked on my assessment. I did the assessment, which was very challenging actually, and I passed it. So I became PPC. And because I'm PPC, I can stand in the London Assembly as well. And then there was that opportunity of standing in the London Assembly for Lambeth and Southwark. At the time, I was moving from Wandsworth to Lambeth. So I was moving from Battersea to Brixton. And that's where I live now. I live in Brixton, yes. I also took part, of course, in the general election campaign, which was very tough and challenging. For the general election campaign, I really helped out in Southwark. So I got to know the Lib Dems in Southwark as well, which was very nice. I did canvassing and leafleting there.
What would you say is your proudest moment in your career so far?
So when you're in politics, you're really, really proud when you start talking to someone and that person listens to you, and then you listen to them. And then in the end, at the end of the conversation, they tell you, I'm going to vote for you. And then, wow, that's a wonderful feeling, because it means that you managed, you know, to communicate your passion and your vision and what you stand for, and that it worked. So it doesn't happen every time, obviously, but it does happen. And each time it happens, I'm just so happy, you know, and so proud.
And of course, you know, successes do come with some failures as well. So what would you say is one of your biggest failures, or a learning moment that you've had within your political career?
Well, obviously, the general elections, the last general election in December 2019 was very, very painful for the Liberal Democrats, because we had campaigned so much and we had given so much of our time to the campaign, and we were so hopeful. And then in the end, we got the results that we all know, which were not great, which were very disappointing. So people were were very, very bitter actually after that experience. So I guess, yeah, that was a big learning curve, the whole general elections campaign.
Why should they be voting for you in this election?
So I think this is what I want to share with people. I care, I have experience, and also I really have a vision of how we can make things better in Lambeth and Southwark, how we can improve child poverty, which is at very high levels in both Lambeth and Southwark, how we can improve social housing, for example, and of course air quality, which is very close to my heart because I have asthma myself. So I really suffer from the high levels of pollution in London.
And could you tell us, finally, one interesting, light-hearted fact about yourself?
My first job? My first job was to sell ice creams in Washington, D.C., in an ice cream shop that was quite upmarket. But I was very young. I was 17 at the time. And I had to learn how to make banana splits and ice cream sodas and ice cream floats. So I guess, yeah, I was so proud of doing this job. It was fabulous for me.
Online at riversideradio.com on your smart speaker.
Play Riverside Radio.
And now on DAB Digital Radio.